In a previous video, you saw me build this foam core remote control vehicle. We're going to take a photograph of this vehicle and we're going to do some cool concept cell shaded artwork to show some of the features and functionality of the vehicle. My name is 𝗟𝗂𝗲𝗿. I'm an industrial designer. Welcome to my channel about product design and making. I hope that you like, enjoy, and become a subscriber. So the first thing we're going to do after we have the photograph is we're going to lay down the color palette. My major primary color is going to be that orange color, and then some of the little colors that go with it to accent it. And then I'm going to set up my scene here. I'm going to angle the vehicle. And I've done a bunch of work ahead of time. I've gone and separated out all the layers. So the body is a layer, the wheels are a layer, the shadow is a layer, and that's going to allow me to manipulate this image the easiest. Now I just put down the ground plane, and with a concept art like this, I'm working from the background to the foreground. So I laid down the background first. Now I'm coming in and I'm cleaning up the foam core model because some of the foam gaps are visible and I need to clean them up just a little bit so that the foam isn't visible and it looks like a nice steel flat surface everywhere, so that when we drop the shading and the color on top of this thing, it looks good. In case you're wondering how long this entire process actually took in real time, I had about 4 hours of footage, so I probably spent a good 6 hours, maybe 7 hours actually putting everything together. You have to factor in recording time. Doing a little bit more cleanup on the ground plane, changing some of those marks on the ground and getting that to the way I actually like it. This thing has a fold-out door in the back that will become a ramp so that the troops could enter and exit out of the back of the vehicle, or the vehicle could even be converted into some sort of a hospital or a medical type transport vehicle if it needed in the field. And so that was one of the things that I wanted to show with this vehicle, was how the doors opened and closed and how you would get in and out of this vehicle. And I'm just adding in the shading here in the back so that I can manipulate it really nice and easy later on down the line. Want to keep everything nice and consistent. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to tackle the door here on the side. It's kind of like a barn door that opens and swings forward on the bottom and then flips out on the top. So the benefit of this is that you could close that bottom barn door and then just flip the top one open to look out or talk to the troops that are walking beside your vehicle. Tank commanders often say that it would be really nice to be able to communicate directly with the other troops or infantrymen that are beside the vehicle directly. This is a nice feature to have. Now, I realize that the opening here on the side creates potentially an issue where you're going to have to beef this area up to withstand whatever blasts. But it's going to make ingress and egress so much easier. You're not going to have to crawl over the top of the vehicle to get in through the turret or anything like that, or over the front. It gives you just a nicer way to get in and out of the vehicle for everybody involved, particularly if there's wounded, you need to pull somebody in or even pull somebody out. If you needed a third exit hatch, I'm sure that could be accommodated either on the bottom of the vehicle or somewhere on the top. But I really like this concept as it allows access to the inside of the vehicle so much nicer and easier. I didn't like how the top door swung 180 degrees up. I thought that's going to cause some issues with the turret potentially. So we're going to stop it here at a 90-degree opening. There'll probably be some sort of a strut or a mechanism that will allow you to ratchet it whatever angle you want and keep it open, and then close it but this is going to avoid any issues with the turret hitting that door, so we don't have any problems here, just adjusting the perspective a little bit. Now I'm trying to be real consistent everywhere and add back the shadows where they would actually fall, or as best as I can approximate where they would fall based on these new appendages that I've added onto the rendering to try to keep it in the same look and feel for the shadows that we have already on the existing photograph. We want to make it believable as possible. Next, now that we have this done, we're going to get into outlining the vehicle. So the outside of the vehicle is going to get a darker line, particularly if you have something on top of something else, or there is a space behind it. It's going to get a black line, and that black line, that darker black line, is going to pop over the stuff behind it, and that's going to tell you as the viewer that there's something behind it. All the other lines on the inside of the vehicle are going to be thinner line weight, and I actually use a little bit lighter black. It's a 90% black or a gray here to illustrate that. All right, just cleaning up some more things on the ground that I don't like, little details that I see. Let's get into adding some value into the main body. I've duplicated the main body, and I've actually made it a black and white, and then we just infill the entire thing. I'm using, I think, like a color burn overlay as well. So most of the shading is done because we're using the photograph, and I'm putting in some weathering here. So to do the weathering, I'm selecting a select group of triangles or surfaces and then just doing those one at a time. You'll see the little keyboard keeps popping up, and this is some sort of a bizarre Wacom tablet driver bullshit thing that's going on. I can't figure out how to turn it off when I'm doing the rendering. I'm so sorry. Don't worry, I'm going to be selling my Cintiq very soon because I am done with Wacom's bullshit. Look for a video about that coming very soon. Let's add some graphics. I add an 8. So if you've been following along in this series all along, the original sketch had a number 8 on it. Now the vehicle is in for maintenance, and so they've hooked up a bunch of cables so that they can do software updates and do other maintenance on the vehicle at the same time. And this is the maintenance fellow out in the front, and we're going to address him shortly. He's got a cable in his hand. So all the cables are just simple lines, and then they get outlined and then trimmed back. Let's address the maintenance technician here. The nice thing about cell shading a photograph like this is that a lot of the shading is done, and we can just add some nice color on top of him. He is an action figure that happened to be the right scale for my vehicle build. So he's almost done. We'll just clean him up a little bit, add outline to him as well, make him match the rest of the rendering. And we're going to put a little outlet or a connector on the end of the cable that he has, and then we'll add a tool in his other hand as well. Don't forget to sign your work. Always good, so if somebody sees it. Let's add the shadows so we can have all the details look really nice on this hybrid electric infantry fighting vehicle, and we can add a little design and making logo on the vehicle here as well. And we need to clean up the suspension a little bit. It was, after all, a remote control car. In the real world, it would probably have A-arm suspension with adjustable ride height, and even some crouching capabilities would really help our troops out in the field. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so. Hey, and don't forget to follow me on social media. I'm on Facebook sometimes, Twitter usually, and now Instagram. Rock on. Click here to check out some of the other design and making videos that I have that you might enjoy.